Alright, decided to make this video about the Ford 4-cylinder EcoBoost engines. More specifically, at least the two different vehicles that we've had in our household. We currently have a 2017 Ford Explorer 2.3 EcoBoost. And then prior to that, we also had a 2016 Ford Fusion with the 4-cylinder EcoBoost as well, that also had the same issue with the spark plugs seizing in the engine. At least for the Ford Fusion, those had gotten bad that one of them ended up getting snapped inside the chamber and had to be extracted. The Ford Explorers and even the Ford Fusions and some other Fords as well with the same 4-cylinder EcoBoost is that this is a problem that Ford knows about with the spark plugs seizing, and I've seen countless videos out there where people are breaking spark plugs, trying to when they're trying to either put the spark plugs in and tighten them down, or they're trying to extract them and they end up getting snapped. And one of the things that I decided to do a while back, which was to buy this kit that I have here, this particular kit here. I got it from Amazon. I think it must have been 35 bucks. It's the ABN spark plug thread repair kit. And it comes with a bunch of different things, but the more important one that I used, and the only one realistically that I used, was this one. And what does this do if you're not too familiar with it? This is supposed to rethread the area where your spark plug screws into. This is the same exact size. These threads right here are the same exact size as the spark plug that currently goes in there. And then you're supposed to do it with this one first, okay? You're supposed to slowly put this one in and then take it out, and then you follow that one with this one here. That's why if you look at both of these, keep in mind, the spark plugs that currently go in there are this size. When you use this kit, what you're trying to do is expand it to a larger size, which is this size right here. That's why, if you can see, the initial steps here, the initial threads here are the same size as these, because you clean off your existing threads with this, and then you start with these, and then it expands to a much larger size. And once you get that larger size, you put in these sleeves in here and you screw them in, and then the spark plug goes in that. And then you're supposed to put a little bit of Loctite on here so that the sleeve stays in there. They have longer sleeves, and the kit also comes with shorter sleeves, but I haven't used any of that. I have it around just in case I need it, but I haven't used any of that. I haven't even used this one either. This is a step rethread bit. It starts with the smaller size and then expands into the larger size, which once you expand to that larger size, these sleeves here go in there. I never used this one. I was able to repair the issues with the Explorer, which had the same exact issue that the Ford Fusion had back in the days, which was I used this rethread kit, and this isn't all this did, all that I used it for, and you'll be able to see a picture soon on this video, but all that I used this for was to clean the existing threads in the spark plug chamber. That's all I did. A lot of people, what they don't think about these cars, it's a 2017. This thing's almost 10 years old of gunk in there, whether it's oil or anything. Old oil and old freaking just baked into the threads and shavings and whatnot. And all I did is I slid this very carefully. You're supposed to do this very carefully. You're not supposed to force it in. When you're screwing it in, all you're going to do, you're going to put this part, when you buy this kit, I didn't even use this over here, I just use these two. You're going to slide that in here, and you're going to lock it with this little Allen key fitting here. I'm not sure if you can see that. This is going to lock in, this is going to slide in there, you're going to lock it with that, and then you're going to tighten it very slowly with this. That's how it's going to look, basically. And you're supposed to tighten it super slowly, very carefully. Don't force it in. You're trying to just basically have this screw into the chamber and clean out all that gunk, all the shavings, all that old oil baked into the threads, and you just slowly clean it in there. And the reason that you can see a lot of red in there is because you're also supposed to put some grease in there. And the way you do it is you're supposed to basically shove this in here in the grease. All I got was red and tacky grease from Lucas. You slide that in there. It's going to come out with a bunch of grease, and you slowly screw that into the threads. And because it's a Ford Explorer, you're going to need an extension here because it's not going to slide all the way in. You need a little bit of an extension actually on this side. This is going to be roughly around there. You put an extension here and then you slowly tighten it. Anyways, the purpose of the grease is so that all the shavings and all that gunk get stuck onto the grease and it doesn't just stay there or fall through. And you'll see that on the picture that's just about to pop up on the screen right now. That picture will show you, this picture here shows you what comes out when you clean up your threads. And all that shavings, all those shavings from years of just grime and gunk and old shavings from old spark plugs just being stuck in there. And what that'll do, it'll make it difficult for you to stick new spark plugs in there when you're doing a tune-up. And it'll prevent the spark plug from going all the way in there, because then it starts to get stuck on all that gunk and shavings and grime and all that from years of it being baked in there. And this will clean that up. So much so that it ended up cleaning up the chamber, the spark plug chamber on the Explorer, so much so that I never needed even to expand it. I didn't need to use the expanding bit. All I did was use this one, cleaned up the threads, and allow the new spark plug to slide right in there as good as new. It literally went in there as good as a spark plug would go in there on a relatively new vehicle. Prior to that, at least on cylinder number 4 and cylinder number 2 on this Explorer, and then it was starting to get stuck. And that was causing for the vehicle to idle roughly and triggering codes P0302 and P04, which are cylinder misfires. Once I did that, I bought new spark plugs. I also decided to take it upon myself to buy new coils for the car as well. And the cylinder misfires disappeared. No issues. Car was running perfectly now. Spark plugs go in there perfectly. I didn't have to expand it or do anything. I just cleaned it up with this. But just please, it's important. I can't stress this enough. Do not force this in. Be very careful. Don't put a lot of weight on there. You crank it a few times. Once you start feeling a little bit of resistance, you go very carefully, and then you back it up, and then you go forward again, and you back it up. You're going to keep doing the forward and back a few times, and try to keep it as straight as possible so that it's not messing up the existing threads. Keep it as straight as possible when you're cranking this in there with your ratchet or with this tool that it comes with, and keep it as straight as possible so it doesn't mess up your existing threads. And at least for me, that was able to clean up the threads on the chamber enough, perfectly actually, to allow the spark plugs to go in all the way they're intended, they're supposed to go in there all the way. And it not only allowed the spark plug to go in all the way, but it completely got rid of the codes P03 and P, and car's running perfectly now, no issues. Again, this worked for the Fusion, it worked for the Explorer, it works for the 4-cylinder Ford EcoBoost engines. There's multiple vehicles that have that engine, but it worked for me. Not saying that it'll fix your issues if you are having these same exact issues with the spark plugs getting jammed in there. Difficult to put them in, difficult to take them out, possibly cracking or breaking one of them inside the chamber. This is what I was able to do to fix this problem, and between the grease and the kit, I ordered them on Amazon, and between both of them I must have spent, I don't know, $50 or something. What I would advise, if you're mechanically savvy enough, I would advise that you try to do this first before taking it to a shop and having to spend a couple $1,000s on the repair, you might be able to repair this yourself if you're having those issues, especially if you already had an issue with one of the cylinders where a spark plug broke in there while you were trying to crank it in or tighten it in or take it off, and the spark plug broke in there and you're trying to avoid this happening again. This actually might be able to help you. It's only $50. Your car's already having that issue. You might want to try this before taking it to a shop, because the shop is not going to be cheap, man. I've been working on my own cars for, I want to say, 25 years, almost 30 years now. And for the most part, every vehicle that I've had in the last 20 some odd years, I pretty much do all the work here at home. It's very rare that I ever take a car to get serviced by someone else. The only time I think we ever do that is if we're getting new tires or a smog or an alignment. Everything else, I pretty much do all by myself. I'm not saying that this is a solution that's going to work for you, but it might. And since it only cost me $50 to repair this, and it gave me positive results, and it completely got rid of the codes, spark plugs go in there nice and free, and I didn't have to expand spark plug chamber and make it into a larger size spark plug. I didn't have to do any of that. All I did is clean the existing threads with this one, and it gave me positive results. You might want to try that if you're mechanically savvy enough to feel confident to do this repair yourself. Feel free to comment if you have any comments, any questions, any tips, tricks, or anything in regards to these vehicles as well. I'm always open for any input. Feel free to look at my other videos. I also post a lot of stuff in regards to DIY home repairs and stuff like that, or I'm gonna be. And also feel free to look at my other business channel where I talk about what I actually do for a living, which is life insurance. Anyways, comment below and subscribe and share if you like this content. Thank you.